What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Jay Crawford back at you with another excerpt of Excuse My Bias NBA Playoffs edition. I know we just wrapped up a great game six there with the Toronto Raptors punching their ticket to get to the NBA Finals. In this segment here, we're going to talk about why Kyle Lowry and not Kawhi Leonard is responsible for the Toronto Raptors getting to the finals and why Kris Middleton and not Giannis Antetokounmpo is responsible for Milwaukee failing to live up to the expectations to get to the finals. So this is Excuse My Bias, the one and only bias sports podcast, but not the one and only because we all have biases, just different biases. With my bias, I did pick Milwaukee to win this series in 6 games. I mainly had that set up because Toronto supporting cast really wasn't being supportive. In the previous series there, particularly if you look at game 7 against Philly, I mean, everybody was scared to shoot the ball other than Kawhi. He had to shoot the ball damn near 40 times to pull that out and then hit a a fall away three over a 7-footer that hit every part of the rim before it went in for them to pull that one out. So you kind of can understand my thinking and kind of everybody else's thinking as well when they say, well, okay, now you're going against Milwaukee. They're number one defense, super long team. You know, Kyle Lowry's playing up and down. Siakam, where the hell did he go? Marcus Gasol is washed up. He's not the same. So they're just like, okay, well, they'll get a couple games. They may get a game or two because Kawhi is so awesome. He might pull out the bag a couple crazy 40-point game, something like that, to pull something out. And maybe he gets some help along the way at one of the games. But everything flipped on us, man. Like, this is why I said Kyle Lowry is responsible for Toronto getting to the NBA Finals. So let me just provide some context for why I am saying Kyle Lowry is responsible for that. If you look at just this playoff series here, we can still keep Kyle Lowry's previous playoff history in our mind because, people get on him before. He's had games where he's zero, never scored anything. He's going scoreless, but he would see himself take himself out the game. He has to go back to the locker room during the game to kind of get himself together and recompose. So we know Kyle Lowry's playoff history has not always been great because it seems like the pressure gets to him. Not so much that he's choking, but like he really just overdoes it. I kind of put him and Westbrook in the same category with that, where it seems like they try to overdo everything and then it never works out. And even this year, we kind of saw the same pattern there. They were just against lesser teams. So this is what triggered in my head to say, well, hey, Kawhi's going to be in for a long damn series because he's going to be pretty much doing it all by himself. If you go back to the first round against Orlando, he started off the playoffs, this whole playoff run, Kyle Lowry did, with a scoreless game. This the first game of the damn playoffs, he went scoreless, but he did play some winning basketball and what I call gamesmanship basketball, where he made some good defensive plays. He still was on the boards. He got 7 rebounds and 8 assists in that game, but they lost game 1 to Orlando, a game that Kawhi played great. Pretty much everybody else did as well, but he couldn't hit a shot. And there you got to still put the ball in the basket, even though you can make other plays to help as well. But you got to put the ball in the basket sometimes to do that. And even throughout that entire series, he was just bad. I mean, he ended that series. Toronto, of course, won in 5 because, Orlando's not that great of a team. But Cal only averaged 11.4 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists there and 2 steals. Now, like I said, that's why I was giving him credit. I was actually one of the few people on social media who was pointing out the other aspects of his game, like the rebounds, assists, and steals, that shows that he was still playing winning basketball, but he still had to end up putting the ball in the basket too. And then even when it came to, the next series versus Philly, he didn't get much better. And the noise on social media still was out there that, hey, he's a choker and he does this every year. Like he's going to be the reason Kawhi ends up leaving Toronto because they're going to be like, he doesn't have any help. This guy who's supposed to be his second All-Star keeps disappearing. Like against Philly, he only averaged 13.1 points, 5.1 boards, 6 assists, and 1 steal. And like I said, that game 7 was just horrible there with it. In that game 7, I mean, he, only had 10 points and 6 assists in that game. And like I said, he pretty much left Kawhi to shoot 40 times to try to pull that one off. And this is why I say he was the reason that they really won this series here and is going to the NBA championship. Um, in this series here, Kyle Lowry was outstanding, man. From game one too, and even though they didn't win game one, he was amazing. He got 30 points there. He had highs in this series of 30 points and 25 points in game four. But he averaged 19 points, 5 boards, and 5 assists on 50% shooting. He didn't have not one single game this series where he had single digit scoring, which was huge. It was just the first in this playoffs, this postseason here. And I'm pretty sure that, he's had at least one single digit game in probably every postseason series he's ever been in. This was one that he didn't. So, I mean, he was on top of everything. He was making championship plays, making key steals. Whenever they were called for, making key rotations to take charges there, just showing a lot of great leadership. And it was kind of so good and kind of heartwarming, actually, to see those Toronto fans show that appreciation for him being the founding guy there. Because even though we know it's not all possible, none of this is possible without Kawhi. Kawhi is the man. He kind of, Killmonger Kawhi came in, took over. But it was good to see that they did recognize, hey, Cal has been here this whole time, pushing and grinding, and he finally got his time to go ahead and get through there and punch through. And he played awesome. He just played awesome there. And conversely, everybody I've seen on ESPN already, the immediate quick takes is just saying Giannis has been exposed. Here's a guy who's going to possibly win MVP. He's on all defensive team, and he's been exposed for all the stuff he needs to work on with his game. And I'm not here to say that Giannis doesn't need to work on certain aspects of his game. I definitely would love to see him duck in more. I've seen him do that probably one time the whole series, where he can just duck in and basically shield his guy off. They can swing the ball to the opposite end. He can get the ball, get an easy put in there. I think if, my coach of the year candidate and my coach of the year vote for Coach Budenholzer, I think if he actually would have implemented that during this series, they probably would have won instead of having Giannis keep continuously having to attack from the top of the key against 4 and 5 sets of eyes every time, and just depending on that one kick out pass to hit a three. I think if you would have switched that up and just put Giannis on the block sometimes, you would have had a lot more success there that could have won this, series there for them, considering they lost in 6 and a couple of the games were very close there. A couple of small changes could have won there. I felt like Nick Nurse outcoached them definitely in this series. But because I'm pretty much sure every show that you're going to see is First Take, First Things First, Undisputed, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to overlook Kris Middleton's disappearing act in this conference finals. And to me, that's the real reason that they lost. If you look at it, Kris Middleton, from the first round on, and I know they were playing Detroit, but, they made everybody in the first round. If you're a top team, you get a sorry team to beat. So we're not going to go off that. But in the first round, Middleton was on fire. 19, 5 and 4 is what he was averaging. Kept it right up against Boston. Here it was 19 and 4 boards with a steal. He was shooting 47% from 3-point land and 95% from the line. Then he gets to Toronto, and I know he had to guard Kawhi, and that could be exhausting there for you, and that could take a lot of energy from you, and it could be a little bit deflating with his shot making. But this shows where a person's mentality is. It shows where their championship will is. And I don't know what happened. He dropped from a 19-point score down to 13.7 in this playoffs with almost 7 boards and 4 assists. And he only had 2 steals for the entire series. Not a game. I'm talking about out of 6 games, he only had 2 steals the entire series. And I know, like I say, he's playing on ball with Kawhi, but you're still going to get off the ball opportunities there to try to make some things happen. I didn't really see any deflections, any blocks from him, especially him being 6'9", 6'10" almost. I don't know where the wheel went with that one there. The active hands were Kawhi started to be more of a facilitator when he was driving in and kicking out. He could have definitely been able to make some of those passes more challenging, and I just didn't see that there at all. And really, Kris Middleton's numbers, even at 13 and 6, are super inflated because they basically most of that came from one game. In Game 4, the double overtime game, when he had 30 points, 6 boards, and 7 assists. If you really take that game out of it and you just average the rest of the game, he only averaged 10 points a game. This is a guy who's an all-star who averaged under 20 a game. He got all the way down to 10. But yet everybody's going to look at Giannis for for why they lost there. When really, if you look at Giannis, I mean, Giannis did what I expected him to do. I don't know anybody else expected, but I expected Giannis to do that. I expected Kawhi to be the best player on the floor. I did say he was the best player in the game, but I thought Giannis would be do what he did, play close enough to Kawhi's level, and then his supporting cast would just overtake Toronto's supporting cast because Milwaukee was thought to be the deeper team. For sure, with Brogdon, Bledsoe. It wasn't just Middleton who played down. A lot of these other guys too. Ilyasova, Mirotic, he didn't even play hardly anything in Game 6. So, it's kind of what I expected there from Giannis. The others I didn't expect it from. I mean, Giannis finished with 23 points a game, 13.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, which could have been more if some of those guys made some more of those open shots. 1 steal a game and almost 3 blocks a game. So Giannis not only lived up to his all-defensive team stature there, he also played great as far as still getting points there and getting to the bucket. The free throws, we saw that. We know he needs to clean that up. We know he needs to add a mid-range shot. He surprisingly shot pretty good from 3, actually. It's kind of weird with that, but surprisingly shot pretty good there from 3. But I just think so much of the focus Monday with some of these quick takes are going to be on what Giannis was exposed of and how he didn't lead the team over Kawhi and how Kawhi outplayed him. I never expected Giannis to outplay Kawhi anyway. I just expected Milwaukee as a team to be better, when in actuality, Toronto as a team was better and he had the better coach. Two things that I don't think anybody else saw coming. Which is going to lead us to a great NBA Finals. I'll probably do a podcast on that one pretty soon, since we got about 3 or 4 days before we get a game coming up on Thursday. But I want to thank you guys for taking the time. Check out this video here. Listen to this podcast. Please remember to subscribe to the Excuse My Bias YouTube page. Subscribe to us on every podcast channel out there, and like our Facebook and Instagram pages there. Excuse My Bias Podcast. Till next time, this is your boy Jay Crawford saying, we all have biases, just different biases. Please excuse mine today. Take care. Peace.